Priority, a Bleach fandom community podcast brought to you by Mizuiru's Pyrotechnics, where we make gas bombs for every occasion. Got a boss you don't like? Maybe a crazy Psycho X? Maybe both combined? Who knows? No worries at all though, we've got just the thing to take them out. Visit our small alley store today. My name is Lethan, and today I'm joined by Nomi.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hello.
What colour's your vibe?
Good. Ooh, my vibe is, I don't know, what's a kind of silently stressed vibe colour?
Like white, maybe?
White, maybe? Yeah.
White with flecks of grey through it, like white noise.
Ooh, yeah. There's a lot going on right now, and I'm just like, be better next Saturday. That's all I'm saying.
You're gonna have a lighter colour next week.
Yeah.
Mine is probably like, I finished the season finale of Stranger Things at the weekend, so my colour is like a really fucking depressing blue.
I bet. You know, I still have not seen the last 2 episodes. Like, I still have them to watch.
Oh, no me.
I know.
No me.
I think maybe I just don't want it to end.
Yeah.
I think I've heard so many things, and I'm just like, maybe I'll just put it off for as long as possible.
Well, it does, like, there is a big cliffhanger for season 5, so we know that season 5 is definitely coming, so it's not the end, if that makes you feel any better.
Kind of.
Anyway, yeah, speaking about, like, the end of things.
Bye?
Yeah, let's get into these episodes of Bleach, because holy shitballs does a lot go down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right.
It's all hitting off now.
Yes, it is.
Alright, so let's start off these episode summaries with episode 306, For the Sake of Protecting, Ichigo versus Tensei Zangetsu. In Ichigo's inner world, he's surprised to find his inner hollow there, thinking he had defeated him the last time they had met. The hollow has taken on the same form as the one Ichigo used when fighting Ulquiorra, a form Ichigo is afraid would crush his soul, thus rendering him unable to holofy properly. Instead of fighting the hollow like Ichigo thought, he instead has to fight them both together, as they follow in the footsteps of Vegeta and Goku and fuse to become a holified Tensei Zangetsu. Name patent pending.
They didn't do the fusion dance though, did they? And he didn't
They
use
didn't,
earrings
no.
either, so questionable, but yeah.
Before they fight, a holified Tensei Zangetsu states that the two had always been one, and that both of them are Ichigo's powers. How curious. Meanwhile, in the world of the living... the world of the living within the Soul Society, Tatsuki is saved by none other than Don Kannoji, sporting his Renji-level Kido skills and blasting Aizen. Would that be Renji-level Kido skills, or does Renji have the skills of a human who is, as they say, only Force-sensitive? Either way, Kannoji makes Renji look bad. Kannoji tries again, but the second Kanno ball, that's Kanno ball, disintegrates as it gets closer to Aizen, and so does his spirit stick. Okay, card captor Sakura, calm down. But he is saved by none other than Rangiku. Wow, bet you weren't expecting that. Meanwhile, the fight between Ichigo and Hollow Tensei Zangetsu continues, just in case you forgot about them. With Rangiku's arrival, Kannoji tries to be all chivalrous and take over from Rangiku. Rangiku, who despite being injured, is probably much more capable of holding her own against Aizen. Well, better than Kannoji could at any rate. Finally, she convinces Kannoji to leave and run, taking Tatsuki and Michiro with him. Tatsuki looks on in awe at Rangiku, cursing Ichigo for knowing such a beautiful woman. And Rangiku stands her ground against Aizen, not answering his questions, causing Gin to apologize on her behalf and asking permission to whisk her away somewhere, which Aizen agrees to, and he shumpos away the Rangiku. I sure hope you haven't forgotten the fight with Ichigo and Hollow Tensei Zangetsu, because they're still at it, with Ichigo being dragged down by a whirlpool as Tensei orders him to leave his inner world. Back with Rangiku and Gin, Rangiku manages to stop Gin from carrying her and explains that she was there because of Gin, and wanted to ask why he followed Aizen, why he betrayed Kira, his lieutenant who trusted him. Gin asks if this is really about Kira and approaches her, before stabbing her, like she hasn't already been through enough. Ichigo is still fighting, but is actually getting better, so that's something, I suppose. And Don Kannoji still has Tatsuki and Michiro, and Tatsuki demands to be put down as they run into Keigo, holding his Zanpakuto, which he claims he borrowed, air quotes are implied, from Afro-san, or Senosuke, the Shinigami who took over protecting Karakura Town when Rukia left. Keigo says he can sense Aizen closing in on them, and above the rooftops, Gin leaves Rangiku. The fight between Ichigo and Holotanzatsuku seems to be reaching a conclusion as they go for a final test. Just in time, because in the Dangai, poor Ishin looks like death warmed up. Is that offensive to a Shinigami, who are actually dead? Anyway, poor Ishin is reaching the end of his power as he looks to Ichigo and wonders just how much longer this would take.
And that brings us into episode 307, Emergency Situation, Aizen, the new evolution, like a Pokemon. This episode starts with Gin leaving behind a possibly dead Rangiku, ? Then immediately noting that Aizen is the cruel one for toying with the kids. Speaking of, Aizen's elaborate game of hide and seek, or rather cat and mouse, continues, with Mizuiru having borrowed some snacks and a charger from a nearby store. But wait, as Aizen draws closer and captures him in an alleyway, he fires a gas canister and attempts to blow Aizen sky high, which, props, for trying. However, it doesn't work. No surprises to us, the audience. Just as Keigo and Don Kanoji attempt to stand their ground to give the others a chance to escape, Gin arrives back on the scene. And Aizen seems surprised when he reveals that he killed my fucking queen. What the fuck, man, you dick. Anyway, what is this? The betrayer actually betrays Aizen? What? Grabbing his Zanpakuto and stabbing him through the heart with his own, Gin explains that he left part of his sword inside his heart, which he ignites to blow a hole in Aizen's chest. With a tongue to burn and a statement that leaves Aizen reeling, Gin snatches a Hogyoku and flees, leaving us reeling too. But of course, that's not the end, as Aizen manages to stabilise himself, evolving even further and slashes Gin back for his treachery. And this brings us into episode 308, Sayonara Rangiku. Okay, I'm going to give you all a moment to compose yourself and your feelings before we get into this one. Yeah. We start to see more of Gin's backstory about how something was taken from Rangiku and given to Captain Aizen back when they were just the smallest of small beans. Aizen explains that he combined Urahara's Hogyoku with his own to make the more completed version and rips Gin's arm completely off before stabbing him, thanking him for helping him to evolve. With final memories of Rangiku on his mind, the woman herself appears to give a final tearful farewell in a scene that is Bleach's own answer to Romeo and Juliet, just, with between two actually consenting adults. Just when all hope seems lost, Ichigo appears, putting down an unconscious Ishin, thanking his father, and turns to face off against Aizen. We can see that Ichigo looks a little bit different, with chains wrapped round his arms and hair grown much longer. Gin notes that there's strength in Ichigo's eyes, while Aizen berates his lack of spiritual pressure. In the final passing of the torch, Gin leaves everything up to Ichigo and passes away. Aizen berates Ichigo. Aizen berates Ichigo, being disappointed in his growth, until Ichigo grabs him by the face and forces him out of town. What the actual fuck? Now away from the poor people of Karakura, Ichigo and Aizen begin to fight, the destruction levelling mountains and tearing chunks in the ground, as Aizen marvels at how his own strength has grown. He attempts to overcome Ichigo with a full incantation Hado number 90, but it has no effect. Ichigo explains his power is greater, and that it was he who was levelling the mountains, not Aizen. Then Ichigo charges Aizen, landing a blooding blow. What?
Yeah, we are slowly careering towards the end, as if we've just taken the end of this arc by the face and shampooed away with it.
Yeah. Funny that. Good reference, yeah. It is. This feels like it started to get faster. Like, the first episode for me was kind of a bit like it was drawn out, and in some parts of the second episode we just watched were a bit drawn out too, but like the later half of the second episode, it basically everything from the moment Gin kind of betrays Aizen felt like it started to speed up.
Yeah. Funny you should mention that, because that kind of brings us into anime manga differences.
Great, take it as away.
So for episode 306, this episode is only 2 manga chapters.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, we've got manga chapter 411, Deicide 13, and 412, Deicide 14. Still continuing on with the Deicide, the god death kind of segment that we're going in. Minor manga anime differences is that the manga was slightly better at signifying that Ichigo's inner world is underwater, because they all have bubbles when they speak. So you'd think that the anime could have just animated that as well, but they probably used up all their budget on Aizen's evolution or something.
Yeah, they really didn't have a lot of bubbles, did they? Like, I noticed it was at key points that they were letting bubbles out, but it really wasn't that obvious.
Yeah, but whereas in the manga, every time they spoke, you could see the bubbles.
Yeah, that would make more sense. But you would see bubbles, like, if people are fighting underwater, you would see bubbles everywhere. Like, bubbles would be coming out of their clothing, bubbles would be coming out of the buildings and things around them. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Kanoji gets some extra fight scenes. The whole Spirit Cane and the second Kido before Rangiku turns up is all anime filler.
Okay.
And then any and all Ichigo versus Hollow Tensei Zangetsu. Like, literally. After they fuse, we do not see them again until episode 3. So...
Oh!
Every time it's skipped to Ichigo and Hollow Tensei Zangetsu, however you want to call them, the fusion. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. However, they did kind of show Ichigo's hair getting longer to signify the passage of time. Okay. But that was all just... Yeah, no, that wasn't in the manga.
Wow. Okay, I thought that. I'm going to wait until you finish the differences. But
oh, that's it.
Oh, is that it? Okay, cool. Because Tensei Zangetsu was talking and I don't know if this was in the manga now that I'm trying to think about it, but like he was talking about like, look at this underworld. Like now it used to be full of skyscrapers and now it's like a tiny town. Mm-hmm. Was that in the manga?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because then he starts fighting Ichigo, and Ichigo conveniently manages to find every fucking skyscraper to go flying into. I'm like, I thought there were no skyscrapers. Like, honestly, he smashes into about 3 of them if you go back and watch it.
Yeah.
So that makes way more sense now.
Yeah, they just kind of had that whole fight scene and just played it out, really, because in the manga, they fuse... And it's implied that they go fight, but then the next time we see Ichigo after the Hollow and Tensei Zangetsu have fused, is Ichigo turning up to save Rangiku. That's that whole segment. Wow. And then Ichigo's just like, bam, I'm here. He's looking new. He's got his hair's that little bit longer. He's got the chains wrapped around his arms. And then what happens is kind of shown a little bit, which will be shown next episode, hopefully.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah.
Wow, okay. Do you know, so, like, we see them fuse and then that's it. Just from there on, there's no fighting.
Yep.
Okay. I'm glad that we still got to see the Hollow show up then and that he ripped the Hollow and everything out of Ichigo and he was like, this is the reason why everything's underwater, because you know how we made that reference before about Ichigo's Hollow kind of representing, like, depression, anxiety, all of these kinds of things?
Yeah.
Like being like a metaphor really for it. Like it doesn't matter how anybody that's experienced any of these things, like I can talk about anxiety and depression because I've experienced both. You never get rid of it. It's always bubbling. It's always there lurking in the background. And while you can really come out of depression, the threat of it still hangs over you. You know what I mean? Like there's still a little cloud that just follows. It's like niggling away at the back, and it's like, yeah, when you're at your lowest, that's when it can take over again. And I really like that whole signifying part of the Hollow where Ichigo's like, I thought I got rid of you, and he's like, aha, but this isn't even my final form, because that is so that's so metaphorical for life. Like you could be going through life, and then something happens, something that maybe changes or disrupts your day-to-day, and then all of a sudden you're like, I thought I got rid of this, but this feeling's come back again.
Yeah. And I suppose as well it could work out with the fact that Tensei Zangetsu says that ordinarily the two of us make up one. Mm-hmm. We're both your powers, so something must have happened to make the Hollow, the kind of the depression and anxiety side, more prominent and for them to split. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you've got that whole kind of connotations there as well. It's really good.
I really like it. And I know I've battered on about this before, but I love the fact that Ichigo's powering up doesn't come from just powering up. It comes, like training hard and overcoming obstacles and powering up. It comes from his battles with his own inner demons, and I really like that. I love the Don Kunoji bits.
Yeah.
Him showing up to be like the hero in this episode actually tickled me. I forgot he did this and I burst out laughing when it happened.
He's just so like Don Kanoji about it.
Yes.
He's like, no, I will do this. It's fine. This is my job. Rangiku turns up and he's like, no, pretty lady, step back. I got this.
Honestly, Rangiku shouting at Don Kanoji as well was fucking hilarious.
It was Gin's face when he shows up, and Gin's is just like, what the fuck? Yep.
All of it. I love when shows can take really serious moments and bits and then chuck in these little comedic moments to break up, as long as it's not like really fucking stupid. But this was like towing the line a little, but it felt right for me. Like, it really made me laugh.
Yeah, well, that's because none of it was, anime filler. It was canon. Kubo wrote this geniusness, so...
Yes, and generally when Kubo does it, it's usually done tastefully and correct.
Yeah.
So this was very good. It was like Rangiku's change in art style when she's like, fucking piss off! It just is so good.
Rangiku's like, I have been stabbed, I have been battered, I have been bruised, I am here to speak to my ex, leave me alone.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And speaking of ex, like Gin insisting to like remove Rangiku from the scene, and Aizen like, no, you can speak here.
Yeah.
That was an interesting exchange, because like I think Aizen kind of knew at that point that Gin has, like, obviously I think Aizen knew that Gin has feelings for Rangiku, right? You know what I mean? Like, if you look into this hard
doesn't have
enough,
feelings for Rangiku?
yeah. But it was Gin just dragging Rangiku away despite Aizen saying, no, you don't have to do that. I was like, oh, brave boy.
Speaking of who doesn't like Rangiku and who doesn't have feelings on Rangiku, Tatsuki crushing on Rangiku
Yes!
is probably the most wholesome thing ever. Like, I like to imagine that as like her lesbian awakening, and she's like, oh wait, no, existential crisis, what's going on?
Do you know, I'm so glad that you read the situation that way as well, because I think a few people could read this situation of like Tatsuki being jealous because she likes Ichigo, but that was not how I read the situation. I read the situation as like, Ichigo like knows all these beautiful women and he's not introduced me to them? How dare he? Like, what kind of fucking pathetic wingman is he?
Yeah, no, I didn't even think of the whole Tatsuki fancying Ichigo. I think it's because I've always, in my mind, headcanoned Tatsuki as liking girls, like Ohime and Rangiku and everything. I've never even considered that she would like Ichigo that way, other than like a friend and a brother. So yeah, no.
Yeah, agreed. I think she's going to be having stern talks with him like, I don't care how many hot women you know, you're introducing me to all of them.
She and Kon would get along really well.
Oh God, would they?
Probably not. Tatsuki teaching Kon how to treat women better.
I like that idea better. Yes. Okay, so see, once Aizen and Gin and everybody had went through into the Gargantua thing, and betrayed them all and everything, there was a moment when everybody was sort of recovering on the back of it. I think it was like an episode or two at the end where they were all sort of recovering on the back of it, and Ichigo was like leaving back to the world of the living and blah blah blah, and Rukia had chosen to stay. There was a moment where Rangiku and Toshiro were talking, and like you could tell that Rangiku was really upset, and obviously Toshiro knows why, because he probably knows that there's history there between her and Gin, right? Because they're really good friends. However you review their relationship, they're colleagues and they know a lot about each other. And so Rangiku leaves and she's standing outside, and it's very faint, but she's got her back to the camera, but you hear her touching her necklace. And I remember picking up on it, and I'm sure I raised it on one of the podcast episodes back in the day, but she touches her necklace, and now in this episode, when Gin takes her away and he walks up to her, he touches her necklace too. And it's really, it's like that little moment of, like, obviously I headcanon, because it's not explicitly said, but I think it's very obvious that was obviously a gift from Gin himself.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And so that's why she was touching it back then. That was kind of like her first tiny little hint to something more happening there. And this is where, like, the writing, like, because I know that I bashed Kubo last episode when I was recording with Dale about, like, just pulling shit out of his arse sometimes and not laying down the groundwork for certain elements of storytelling. This is him doing it well. This bit here, with, like, because it wasn't just this moment of, like, Rangiku touching her necklace back then. There was, like, other subtle moments where, like, Gin went before he left, he says, "I would have loved to have been your captive a little longer. So long, Rangiku." And he thanked her and things. And there's moments like that where Kubo obviously knew Gin's relationship with Rangiku even right back when he first started writing, and knew that was eventually going to end in this specific way. So he laid the groundwork for that, and that's good writing. And that's, like, you can go back and rewatch Bleach and pick up all the moments between these two characters where it was very strongly hinted at and shown and demonstrated that there was a lot more kindness, consideration and compassion and love between the two of them.
Yeah, I love those little details.
Yeah,
That's
me too.
cool. Yeah.
Me too. But that's all I've really got for this episode.
Can we maybe talk about Keigo and Senosuke Zanpakuto?
Yeah, go for it.
Like, well, I want to know the kind of how this is working. Because we have Keigo, who is a human.
Yep.
We have Senosuke, who is a Shinigami.
Yeah.
Now, majority of the time, humans can't see Shinigami. And but we've got Ichigo, who saw Rukia managed to stab him, blah, 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 blah. And now that they are in the Soul Society, let's steal the term from Star Wars and call them Force sensitive, because it seems like a pretty good analogy of these guys, that they can sense and they have that little bit of spiritual pressure that if they were to enter the Soul Society, you know, they may someday be able to go to the academy. They may not be like Kaien or Rukia or, like, you know, strong captain class Shinigami, but, you know, they get on by.
Yeah.
So now that the Karakura town is in the Soul Society, are these kind of latent abilities heightened, and that's what allowed Keigo to just pick up this sword and wield it?
Yeah, I think it's that exposure thing, isn't it? It's almost like being exposed to radiation. The more and more you're exposed to it, the more and more you absorb. So we've already seen Keigo being exposed to it very early on through a lot of scenes. And even in the battle where he was watching Ikaku versus I'm not going to remember the Arankar's name, but that battle where Ikaku was fighting off against that Arankar and went Bankai and everything, and Yamachika was there, and he was the one that was like, set up a perimeter and arrange a funeral for Ikaku. Like, Keigo was present for a lot of that, so he was probably, like, absorbing that spiritual pressure even back then. So I think at each point, each exposure that the characters get, they get stronger and stronger, because we see that Keigo is one of the last to fall down when Aizen approaches them. Like, everybody falls down and Keigo's like, what's going on, what's happening? And then he eventually falls down. So it's like, because he has had the most exposure to it, he's, like, absorbed probably the most of it. So yeah, them being in this world has probably heightened it even further. It's heightened all of them, like, to the point now that other, like, Tatsuki and everybody can see things. But Keigo's will have been, like, even further heightened, I think. That's the way that I'm sort of reading it.
Yeah, because Keigo managed to survive the whole experience with watching Ikaku with the Espada.
Yes, which is a big battle.
It was, yeah. Tatsuki's been exposed with the hollow that awakened Orihime, but then she was also there with Ulquiorra and Yami, but she kind of passed out, so that's kind of like her journey. Her exposure is that she couldn't manage it then, but now she's managing it just a little bit more. Now the exposure is building up her resistance. And then you've got Chizuru, the one who gives lesbians a bad name.
Yes.
You've got her, who's absolutely...
Well, I don't know, actually. I've seen how thirsty some of the lesbians can be on Twitter, by the way. Oh my god. I fell into the Cat Vi world on Twitter and holy fucking shit.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, yes, but yes, yeah.
She's completely freaking out because she's not been exposed to this because we're ignoring the filler episodes in which she became one of Don Kanoji's Karakuriza squads and takes down a random... that's filler, so we're ignoring that. So she's not been exposed, which is why she's having this much more kind of guttural reaction to the fact that she's freaking out. And she's like, why is nobody else freaking out?
Yeah.
You know, so you've got that different levels of exposure, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she can see things now, as can Mizuhiro, who probably wouldn't have been able to see anything under normal circumstances.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have. Just, we had a new ending. Yay!
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of this one. What did you think?
Yeah, it's not a favourite. Rookies is punked, sings song 4. So, yeah. There were other ones I like better.
Yeah, agreed. Even from the moment this one started, I was like, oh, okay. And it's a shame because it's actually alongside one of the arguably Bleach's best intros.
Yes, yeah.
So it's got a lot to live up to. It's just missed the mark for me. Alright, will we do manga and anime differences for 307 then?
Yes, we will. We've got manga chapters 313, Deicide 15. And we jump on over into volume 48 and we have chapter 414.
Does that mean we get a volume game?
We get a volume game. 414 Deicide 16 and 415 Deicide 17.
Wow, creative names.
Some manga anime differences is we've got Don Kanoji playing the hero and going to fight with Keigo until Zenosuke turns up. It's only Keigo who tries to fight, and Zenosuke turns up and stops Keigo, whereas Don Kanoji's there.
Oh, I
and
like
then again,
Don Kanoji bit.
And then Don Kanoji steals Keigo's lines. In the manga, it's Keigo who's like, everybody run! Whereas Don Kanoji's like, run! Don Kanoji doesn't really show up he's there, and he's in the background, but Keigo's got that more kind of forceful presence.
Oh, so the anime did Keigo a little dirty, but did Don Kanoji quite well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was a small scene of Keigo and the gang hiding behind a van. I didn't mean that to rhyme, but yes, Keigo and the gang hiding behind a van.
I'm glad that was filler. I'm glad that was, because I remember sitting there going, the fuck, why would you hide behind a truck? Like, surely the blasting gear would move that truck back or tip it, or like, you wouldn't, that's just stupid.
Yeah, so that was a good move there. Well, a bad move there on the anime, I suppose.
The anime makes changes that make the characters look stupid all the time. It drives me fucking nuts. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it for manga anime differences. We're back into this. Is, as you said, it starts picking up now.
Yes, good. Okay, but I'm just going to score out the little note I had then of Don Kanoji growing on me as a character for standing beside Keigo. Let me just score that right out. Okay. Right, I do want to ask. Oh, go for it.
Okay. No, go on.
Okay. I was going to ask, do you think Aizen has a little respect for Mizuhiro after the gas bomb thing? Because I would.
Yeah, I could see him like, okay, good try. I appreciate you, now you're going to die.
I thought maybe like a little bit of amusement. Like, I could see something like that just tick in the corner of Aizen's mouth just a little. Like, just being like, interesting, okay.
He would be the food Aizen plays with.
Yes, 100%, yeah. I think if Mizuhiro hadn't been there, I don't think Aizen would have had nearly as much fun. No,
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. But props to Mizuhiro, by the way. Like, I want him on my squad if I'm encountering or running away from a bad guy. Like, that was pretty decent.
Right? Yeah. Everyone's got their fight or flight response, and he's definitely got the fight, you know?
Fucking bombs, man.
Speaking of Aizen, I'm pretty sure this whole arc would have ended earlier if someone had just hit the B button to cancel out his evolution.
That was a Pokemon joke, and I greatly appreciated it.
Because then the dude goes Mega Flyzen, you know.
Flyzen? Oh my god, is that what we can call him now?
That's what the Bleach Brave Souls community calls him, because he's literally a butterfly Aizen,
Yes.
so they call him Flyzen to differentiate between the characters.
Amazing. That was almost going to be my brought to you by this week. I'd started writing out like a butterfly costume designer thing. And then I was like, no, I went with Mizuhiro's pyrotechnics instead. But yeah, I was very close. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Speaking of Aizen though, like, he asked Gin what happened to the woman. Like, he doesn't know her name.
Right?
I'm sure he knows who she is.
I'm
like,
sure.
Aizen's too intelligent to, like, not know every bit of information that might come in handy at some point, right? He probably knows all. They even said, like, he gathered all the lieutenants to specifically show them his Zanpakuto release. You know what I mean? To put them under all the hypnosis. So, like, we know he knows who she is. So I was like, the woman. I was like, in my head, my mind instantly went to BBC Sherlock Holmes for that. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, that kind of role could suit Rangiku, actually.
Yeah. You do have to give kind of Gin his credit for, you know, being able to pull one over Aizen. I'm pretty sure, like, the whole reason why Aizen actually got hit there is he was not expecting it. So Gin had been keeping this secret for so long, and then you've got the whole poetic justice that of Gin's Bankai, which is Kami Shini no Yari, which translates to God-killing spear.
Ooh.
So he literally just says to this Aizen, who is like a god at this point, kill God-killing spear. So there's really some kind of poetic justice there with Gin and Aizen and their little bit towards the end.
How would you have felt if Gin did kill Aizen in this scene, if it was Gin that ended it all?
I think it would have been nice. I think there's a lot to say about Gin and his character and, you know, his motivations and his reasoning and going about it the wrong way. But to kind of have that ending for Gin, yeah, it would have been kind of like a little bit of, poetic. I like saying that word, poetic justice. In the sense that he finally achieved what he wanted to do. Yeah. But I think it can't have just happened with Gin just being able to do it and living happily ever after. I do think there needed to be some sort of sacrifice towards Gin. So if Gin were to be the one to end Aizen, I don't think Gin should have survived it either.
Yeah. I agree with that. I really like the idea. Like, the thing about shonen anime that makes me want to stop watching it is I always know who's going to defeat the bad guy. You know, like, you always know. I think the only show that made it mixed it up was probably Dragon Ball Z. And it was partly why I liked it so much, because even although, Goku usually was the one to finish things off, he wasn't always. It was effectively future Trunks that defeated Frieza, and Gohan that defeated Cell, which were two of Dragon Ball Z's biggest bad guys.
Yeah.
So, and then who was it that defeated Majin Buu, actually? Was that... Gosh, I can't even remember, because he had so many forms. No, it was Goku in the final form. It was Goku that defeated them, but thanks to Vegeta and thanks to loads of other people as well. So really, like, there was enough of different characters there to get over the wins. That you were kept kind of guessing who was going to come in and save the day. But for a lot of the other shonen shows that feature a main male protagonist, you always know who's going to land the finishing blow. Like, you always know who's going to step in and finish it and end it all, right? So I would have loved if it had been Gin. I would have actually loved that. And maybe if there was like a bit of residual power left over from Aizen that Ichigo came back in and cleaned up or something. But I would really have liked it. I think it would have been a nice twist. And one that Kubo had laid a lot of groundwork for and a lot of foreshadowing for and a lead up to, because we had all those GinRan moments.
Yeah.
And what Gin said to him, by the way, holy shit, I actually had to pause it because I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. He says, you'll die with a hole through your heart. Isn't that what you wanted? Like, Gin says that to Aizen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's good.
Yeah. Aizen is the jar. Gin loosened it, allowing Ichigo to take it off. To take the lid off.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. Although Aizen saying that Gin was the reason he got the final transformation in the first place, so I'm like, ugh. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Aizen, like, saying that he already knew about Gin, how much of that do you believe?
I don't think he knew everything. Like, I think he had, like, an idea, and I think he knew of their relationship, but I don't think he knew Gin's motivations.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he knew and kept you close, aware of your plan, because I was curious to see how you would try to take my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. But then again, it is Aizen, so maybe he did know everything.
Me and Dale were speaking about this in our episode, actually, about, like, how much does Aizen claim credit for and how much is just, like, he did do, and how much did he not do, but he's just like, yeah, I'm going to say I did anyway, you know? It's hard to know with a character like Aizen. I do think to some degree he was sus of Gin. I think you're right, I don't think he knew the motivation, and he clearly didn't know how Gin was going to go about trying to do it. But I don't think that for as long as Gin and Aizen have been together, known each other, that Aizen's always known Gin's plan. I don't know, I like to think that maybe at some point Gin did pull the wool over Aizen's eyes.
Yeah.
I like to think of Aizen thinking himself as being all seeing, all dancing, but actually, yeah, you know. I feel like Tom Riddle, he's going to die like a human, isn't he? He's just going to die a normal death. I want to see him knocked down a couple of pegs because I feel like he takes a lot of credit for things that otherwise were just not exactly his thing that he did.
Yeah. Because I do believe he was genuinely surprised about the true power of Gin's Bankai. Because you can see it in his face. And, you know, we know at this point that he is not under any hypnosis. This is actually Aizen getting hurt. This is Aizen's own surprise and everything. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I do believe that Gin at least managed to keep that from him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Gin, man, what a champion.
Yeah.
I will admit, like, there's moments where I really don't like him, but overall as a character, like obviously I don't like what he did to Rukia and blah 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 on the bridge and stuff, and he was a dick at some points, but I will admit, as a character, he's so fucking complicated and complex, and I really, really like him. I really do. I'd say he's probably in my top 10.
Yeah.
And that's all I've got for this episode. Oh, wait a minute. There was one, this is more for last episode actually, but I took a note of it too late. Ichigo's inner world, you know, when it went, like, there was no skyscrapers in it. Did it look a little like Karakura Town to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cute.
And I think that was, like, hinted at, if I'm remembering rightly, a couple of episodes ago when Ichigo first goes into his inner world, and Zangetsu's like, look around, this is what you're protecting or something. It's, like, heavily implied that it has become the place that he's protecting, which is why it's all underwater, because he's drowning.
Yeah.
It's a symbolism there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got some little, not fun facts, but some things that are really kind of cool. At the end of this episode, we have, you know how we've got the end credit scene where they usually voice over with funny voiceover as they showcase clippets for the next episode?
Yes.
Well, they didn't really have like a funny kind of commentary this time. They had Gin quoting his own volume poem.
Right, okay, so that was Gin's voice actor for you?
Mm-hmm.
Because there was like a moment where Aizen was voicing something, and I can't remember if it was that or if it was something else, but like the slithering of the snake, and if I said I love you with that mouth, blah blah blah, that moment?
Yeah.
That was done by Aizen's voice actor in the dub, and it weirded me the fuck out.
Really?
Yeah, like if it was Gin's voice actor, then it did not sound like him at all. It sounded like Aizen's voice actor.
I I'm pretty sure it was Gin, because I
Yeah.
double checked with my sister and she said, yeah, it's Gin.
No, it would make sense that it was Gin, because I was sitting there going, why the fuck is this being said by Aizen? This should be being said by Gin. It was weird.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. Blah. Anyway, continue.
Anyway, so yeah, I just thought that's the first time we've really had these volume poems, and it was really, because he then says it again in the next episode. He then talks about it, which is like a little anime only thing as he's starting his flashbacks and he's like thinking back of everything that's happening. Gin again says it at the start of the next episode, but it's just one of those things that it draws to the poignancy. I can never say this word. Of these volume poems and how they can relate to what's happening.
So I'm guessing this volume poem is Gin.
No, this was last one.
Oh,
so
right,
this
okay.
isn't. Yeah, but this is the one I played with Del last week.
Okay. I bet you Del got that no problem.
Oh yeah, Del did. But it also matches as well. At the end of each chapter of the manga, Kubo likes his little drawings, and sometimes they're funny, sometimes they kind of signify what's happening in the chapters. And for the past couple of volume chapters, we've had kind of silhouettes of Aizen, a snake, and a cat. And all three of them are standing off, but then the snake attacks the cat, and then the snake attacks Aizen and cuts Aizen in half, and then you've got the cat crying over snake. So it's got these little kind of imagery of
and the cat
fight that's happening.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Because there's Anpacto's Heineko, which is Ash
Yeah.
Cat, right?
Yeah.
Oh. My heart. Okay.
But that is all I've got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we move on to the sad episode?
No.
I did cry.
Did you? See, I cried all my tears at the Stranger Things finale, so I was kind of cried out. But yeah, it still felt like somebody was punching my already beating heart.
Yeah, it's so emotional. But yeah, episode 308. My note said 302. It's not. I just forgot to change the 2 to an 8. 308. We've got manga chapters 316, Deicide 18, the end.
Oh, good.
417, Deicide 19.
What the fuck?
And 418, Deicide 20.
Oh
so
my
yeah,
god.
Deicide 18 was the end, but I think that meant the end of Rangiku and Gin. And then it still is Deicide 19 and
What's
Deicide 20.
the SI stand for?
It's like so Dia is God, and side is a type of murder. So you've got patricide, you've got suicide, you've got all that kind of suffix meaning death.
I thought it was
So
DSI as in the letters D for Delta, S for Sierra, I for Indigo. I was like, oh, what is that?
I did the same as you when I first started reading this. I thought it was decide, just like I decided this today.
Yeah.
But I didn't notice the I until Del pointed it out, and Del knew it because it's a metal band cover, but it's also got the connotations of, a god death, which is basically what they're trying to do here, because Aizen thinks he's God.
Gotcha.
Godson.
Did this make you like Gin more?
It gave me peace of mind to finally know what his motivations were. It gave me, I could see where he was coming from. He was definitely playing the long game. But he probably could have gone about it a different way. But then again, this is Gin, and this suits Gin. So yes, I think finally knowing a little bit about Gin did make me like him a little bit better, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sorry, was there any anime manga differences for this one, or did I just
There wasn't, no.
blank that? Okay, cool, that's fine.
No.
I was like, wait a minute, did I just miss a whole chunk of my brain activity there?
No, it's fine. Because you said at the start of this episode, first episode was very heavy. It started getting better towards the middle of the second episode, and then by the third episode, it had really caught up. And we saw that with how many manga differences we've had between the first, then a few ones in the second, to none in this one.
I think you, Dale, and I have been doing this long enough now that we can all like start to see what is filler and what isn't, just based on, because obviously you've been doing these manga and anime differences for ages now. So like, and bravo, by the way, you've done an excellent job with them. And just a round of applause from the audience for Nomi for all the manga and anime differences, because it is not an easy thing to do. I'll know, because when I do it on occasion, I'm like, fuck this shit.
And you do it alone as well. I have my sister who's there with me. So.
Yeah. But then you're doing it with the sub, I do it with the dub, so I've at least got that to help me out, where the dub's speaking to me in English and I can be reading the manga at the same time.
True,
so
yes,
that's
yeah.
definitely helpful. But yes, so not an easy task to do, but well done you. And it's like I have now started to pick it up. Like I can now feel it. I think we've been in this game long enough that now we know when it's filler and when it's not. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could probably take our good guesses on it. So that was why, like, right away I was like, oh, this felt slower, sluggish. It's like trawling through shite, really, isn't it, at points sometimes? Yeah. Oh, by the way, I meant to ask this question. You know how, like, the anime has this problem with changing eye colours?
Yeah.
We've spoken about, like, the changing colour of Joshiro's eyes and stuff, and then technically you could argue, like, you can argue Rangiku's hair colour too. Yeah. But what about Gin's eyes? Am I remembering this right? Were they red in the manga? Like, in the canon Kubo universe? I remember at some point, or was it that the anime kept going backwards and forwards between making them red and blue? I remember somewhere them being red.
I can't remember.
This is where we're frantically go.
Yep. Type. Please ignore the typing sounds. Because I just thought it was like, yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Crunchyroll has a whole fucking article on it. Hold on. It's the anime that kept changing it. So that was it. When Gin was fighting Toshiro, his eyes were red, and now that we're seeing them blue.
Yeah, because he's got blue eyes on the volume cover, and he's got blue eyes sometimes because it's hard to tell, because he normally keeps his eyes like narrow to slits, so you can't really see them. Yeah, they're blue. So they are canonically blue, but when the anime was animating them during that first Gin and Toshiro fight, there's no reveal of the anime, like the actual eye colour had been made by Kubo at that point, so they just took creative liberty and did red. Ah, there we go. And then later on, Kubo drew it and it is blue, so his eyes are canonically blue. Yeah. Yeah, but the anime is flitted between the two of them because obviously they didn't know at the time. And rather than just write to Kubo and go, yo, Kubo, what's up, my bro? Can you tell us what colour Gin's eyes are? There we go, yeah. Yes. The colour of Gin's eyes have varied throughout the series medium. They are... Oh, but apparently the DS fighting games have them as yellow. Oh, for God's sake. The colour changing continues. Just pick a colour, guys, and stick with it. At least then you're sticking with one thing, you know what I mean? Even if it's wrong, you've stuck with it, you know? Mm-hmm. And then change it when you know what it is. But don't just mix colours up and pull... anyway, whatever. But yes, I like the blue better. The whole purpose of this conversation was just to say I like the blue on him. Yes. Yeah, the blue suits him, because it matches Gin's grey. No, Rangiku's grey. Grey, steely, bluey eyes. Yeah, baby blue eyes. Oh my gosh, Rangiku's gay is what I said before. Anyway. I wish. Okay. That's funny. Whew. And then we could talk for weeks about Ichigo's battle with Aizen. Like, I'll admit I didn't watch the last 3 episodes, but I do remember a little bit about, like, Ishin takes Ichigo into the Dangai to train him because it's like a hyperbolic time chamber thing, really, isn't it? It's like time passes differently there. Yeah. 3 months inside the Dangai is like 2 hours or 1 hour outside. So yeah, there's the time restrictive current, which equates to all sorts of mathematical sciencey stuff that only Kisuke and Mayuri could probably understand. But yeah, there was a time flux continuum. I like that. So when Ichigo emerges, he's actually a little bit older. Yes. Which is why he's got the longer hair. Exactly, yeah. Okay, good to know. Still not old enough to be doing half the shit of what he's doing,
Technically. Although, like, I always, like, I look at characters like Ichigo and that, and I'm like, mate, you're not 15. Whoever drew you does not know what a 15-year-old boy looks like.
Right.
Yeah, it was cool to see, like, the hair being longer and stuff. And I like that little, I know it wasn't really the hyperbolic time chamber thing, but it was like a little nod to the grandfather of shonen anime, which is Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
It was very good. Where I think in the hyperbolic time chamber it is either a year passes in a day or it's a year passes in an hour. I can't remember. It's something like that.
It's been a while. Like I need to go back and watch Dragon Ball.
Anyway, yeah. Ichigo, I love the fact that Ichigo grabbed Aizen's Zanpakuto.
Oh my gosh.
That was like what
yes!
Aizen did with his. I know he stopped it with a finger, but like it was so reminiscent of that exact moment when Ichigo first went up against Aizen, but the roles reversed. It was great.
I totally thought of you when I noticed this, because I was like, it's like basically just like it's Uno reverse card. The whole music stopping, it's parallel to what happened. And I was like, this is the type of thing Lethan's going to pick up, so I need to pick up on it.
Yeah, exactly. I totally picked up on it. I was like, this exact moment was just totally reminiscent in every way, shape and form of Ichigo's first going up against Aizen. It was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. My last note was literally just Ichigo OP. That's it. That's all I've got.
I mean, yeah, because Ichigo is the Aizen what Aizen was to the Gotei 13.
Yes.
Because Ishin makes a comment when Ichigo first turns up when they were back in the world of the living. Ishin says only someone standing in the same place would feel his power, which is why nobody but Ichigo could feel Aizen's power.
Mm-hmm.
But now that Ichigo's gone off and trained, Aizen literally has no clue that Ichigo is now at that point where he is stronger than Aizen.
Yeah. I remembered that being somewhere in Bleach where, like, if somebody is got a significantly higher spiritual pressure than you, sometimes you can't pick up on it. I remember that being canon somewhere, but I couldn't remember where I'd heard or seen or heard of it before. But yes, yeah, that makes sense. It was so good. And then Aizen was like, "Oh, you've discarded your spiritual pressure to put it into your limbs." Like, okay. No, mate, just you can't pick up on it, you twat. Yeah.
He's so full of himself that he can't fathom the concept that someone might just be stronger than him.
Yeah, 100. That's exactly it, Nomi. You're right, 100%. That was where his head was. Up his own fucking arse.
Right.
Yeah. I'm so excited for the next couple episodes because we're obviously going to see more of this fight and I can't wait.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I also find interesting, because I very much like the technical aspect of stuff, is we finally get the kind of confirmation of how this Hogyoku was made.
Yes.
So Aizen had created this Hogyoku, but he couldn't get it complete, like it was only half a Hogyoku, and he was shaving off parts of people's souls in order to kind of satisfy this Hogyoku. And it's not until he puts his Hogyoku and steals Kisuke's Hogyoku and put those two Hogyokus together that he finally has this complete Hogyoku.
Yeah.
So that then leads us over to Rangiku. Now, Rangiku has had this piece of her soul shaved off, and Rangiku has always been this competent fighter. You wouldn't say she was up there with maybe the likes of Rukia or Renji. Like, no, I said Renji. I didn't mean to say Renji.
I was going to say, I was like, I think she could give Renji a run for his money. Rukia, fair enough, because I don't know how much Kido Rangiku knows, but yeah.
Exactly. And so when we also see sometimes that Rangiku is very much portrayed as this kind of lazy, she doesn't really have that motivation sometimes when it comes to the paperwork and everything. Do we think this is some sort of side effect to her having a portion of her soul shaved off to feed this Hogyoku? If Rangiku had not had that part of her soul taken, would Rangiku have been more motivated and stronger and less likely to kind of fall back on what she was supposed to do and maybe be that little bit more stronger and be up there with Rukia?
It's interesting because that's actually a really interesting concept. I think spiritual pressure, power scale wise, yeah, I think if she hadn't had it shaved off, she probably would be up there, maybe even at a captain level. We don't know how much power was taken, but it was clearly substantial enough that Aizen was interested in it. So, that could be part of that. However, her quote-unquote laziness, her lethargy, I don't know how you say that word, but that, to me, doesn't come... I've always seen that in my head canon for that comes from not depression, but something akin to it. Her drinking herself silly probably because of maybe her failing relationship with Gin and things that are happening around her. I also think it was obviously part of her personality that she just enjoyed having a drink, and that's fine. But then that started to maybe get progressively worse when her relationship with Gin started to deteriorate. That was how I read that situation.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'd see that. Yeah, there's always a sense of personality and maybe, that whole drinking and that element there is always gonna be it's a personality trait. That's just how she grew up. Maybe she's hiding the fact that Gin's distant and she doesn't understand why and all of that sort of stuff. There could be so much more going on behind it that we don't know about. Yeah, we
also don't know how her relationship with Gin progressed through the years. Clearly they had some kind of history, but we don't know behind the scenes. We don't ever find out if they were ever lovers or what happened. So there could be a whole magnitude for reasons as to why she drinks.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of fan fiction out there and plenty of theories about how all that shit went down. But yeah, I like the idea of her being more powerful because of that had she not had that section of her spirit removed. But I don't think it would have massively impacted the drinking and things and the motivation to do paperwork. I feel like that comes from more emotion than it does power levels.
Yeah.
That was a good point though. And that's me, I'm all done.
Yeah, the only other thing I have now is Mega Flyzen. He mega evolved.
Mega Flyzen. He mega evolved. Oh god. I love how Aizen got his mega evolution before Flygon ever did, right? Everybody, the whole fucking Pokemon community is waiting for Flygon to get its mega and Aizen got it first. I love how Aizen got his mega evolution before mega evolution was ever invented in Pokemon, but you know. Low-key, Aizen was the inspiration for mega evolution in Pokemon.
Yeah. Okay. So volume game?
Yes, please.
Okay, so because this brings me into my final point.
Okay.
Volume 48.
Yes.
People are all imitations of monkeys. Gods are all imitations of humans.
That's it?
That's it.
Huh. Say it again.
People are all imitation of monkeys. Gods are all imitations of humans.
See, I don't think Aizen... I want to say Aizen, but I don't think Aizen would be making a reference to gods being imitations of humans. I think he sees himself as above humans in every aspect, right? So... But who else could it be? I'll take Aizen as a guess for just now to clear him off the list.
It's Aizen.
Is it?
Yeah.
See, yeah, okay.
Volume 48, God is Dead. And as we had in episode 307, we had Gin/Aizen quoting his own volume poem. In episode 308, we have Aizen quoting his own episode poem, volume poem at the end of this episode.
Ooh.
Again, during the kind of teaser for next episode, Aizen is quoting it, which is really cool because it's the first time we've heard of the volume poems making it into the anime.
Yeah, true, yeah. Alright, that was cool.
Here's a fun fact for you, because as we were looking up Gin's eye colour, it was telling me all about volume 20, and I was like, but Gin's on the volume cover of 47. Turns out, Gin is only one of a couple who have 2 volume covers.
Oh.
So Gin has 2 volume covers. Aizen does. Grimjaw does. Orihime does. Byakuya does. Yamamoto does. Ichigo's got 3.5. Rukia's got 1.5, and Shinji's got 2. Yay! So yeah, there's only a couple of them. So it's surprising to me that Gin made the list, but I suppose it's because he features quite heavily in 2 different volumes.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah.
Huh, it's good though. I look at Kubo picking and choosing his favourites.
I know, right? Yeah. And then is that it? Do I have anything else? I don't think I do.
Okay. That brings us into our Shinigami Cup pair Rockside edition. So who wore it best this week then, Noe?
My who wore it best is Isshin and the beard. He wears it well. He really did.
I love it.
He wore it well.
I love it. Mine who wore it best was Gin and the snake reference.
Ah.
I love that description for him. He suits it.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, what about your best ship?
I'm not going to go for the obvious.
Are you not? Wow, I
No.
thought we were both going to go for the obvious.
I have instead gone for Tatsuki and Rangiku.
Oh,
and the Lesbian
I love
Awakening.
it. Yes, okay, I'll give you that one. I do really like it. Yeah. I went for the obvious because I had to. Like, all over my notes I've just got GinRan written with like a sad emoji face. Bleach's first and only Romeo and Juliet, but you know, the fact that they're both adults.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I think Juliet was like fucking like 13 or something in the original, which is weird, but anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. And then what about your fandom shout out?
So, fandom shout outs. We have a special fandom shout out from Dell. Dell asked us to share this one for them. And this is by an artist on Tumblr called Mostly Tired Bean.
Oh, I love the name.
Fittingly enough, it is some GinRan domestic cuteness with them both just holding a tiny little baby. And it's adorable. And it just highlights the whole amazingness of what GinRan could have been had it been allowed to continue and flourish.
Honestly, it's
and
so
bloom.
fucking cute. It's
so cute.
fucking cute. It's like a mini Gin, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, the child is so Gin. And then for my fandom shout out, I have a cosplay.
Oh,
This is
holy shit!
Aizen cosplay.
Oh my god!
So this is Aizen in his kind of first evolution. He has fused with the Hogyoku. You can see it in his chest. And just the whole aesthetic of the Hogyoku in the chest, the lines spreading out as it starts to corrupt and fuse with him. This cosplayer has done an amazing job, and this cosplayer is Numasan0704 over on Twitter.
Oh
so
my
good.
god. Wow. I have no words. The hair. I can't stop looking at the hair.
The hair is good. The hair's great.
It's on fucking point.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's even like the bit that the strand that's coming down the face. It's so fucking good. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop looking at it. Wow. Wow. That is, please click the link in the show notes, everybody. Go and check out this person. Go and like, retweet, share, follow. Oh, give this person support because holy shit balls, man. That's fucking impressive. Alright, mine, actually, because we've done a little bit of speaking about Ichigo and his inner world and everything like that, mine's is actually a piece by an artist over on DeviantArt. And this is a name you'll probably like. It's called Duality Designs.
Ooh.
And it is all about Ichigo's inner world.
It's so cool. The way they've just, like, pieced it all together.
Yep.
Reading through it, like, they've taken a
Bits
lot of
and
things
pieces.
from... bits and pieces from other artists as well, and they've just combined it together. So you can see the kind of duality of the, you've got the 3 pieces in the middle, and then you've got the kind of buildings in the background that they've all just edited together, and all the credits for who they've taken the inspiration from are in their credits as well. So definitely go back and kind of check out everybody who's been credited to make this amazing piece.
Yeah, the backgrounds and buildings was done by Shirley Cat. And then you've got holified Ichigo, which was ninjatic, and then you've got the other version of Ichigo, which was Washuem. And then you've got the main Ichigo Kurosaki, belonging obviously to Kubo himself. But yes, it's really cool the way that they've put it all together. I was really looking for a piece of Ichigo's inner world, and there's very few artists out there that have touched on it, or if they have, it's just difficult to find, maybe because of the name of the piece. But this was one of the better pieces that I could see.
Yeah.
And that is us.
That's us. We're almost there.
I know. I can't believe how close we are to the end now.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, are you emotionally prepared?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because I know, like, the very last episode of this arc, it annoys me some ways.
Okay.
But that's because it is mixed canon filler, so I'm, like, mentally preparing myself to be annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I am excited, and I am kind of like, I'm excited to go further because we're getting into, I've not seen the next arc as many times as I've maybe seen this arc, or I know this arc.
So the Fullbringer arc.
The Fullbringer arc, the Lost Agent arc, yeah. I'm actually not a fan of the Lost Agent arc.
Not a lot of people are.
No, and I'm hoping, when I first watched it, I thought it was filler. I was like, what is this crap?
Yeah.
Whereas I hope that doing this podcast will help me appreciate it a little bit more and maybe turn it into something that I will watch again.
Yes. Yeah, so hopefully we can pick apart and make it something good. I think there's a lot, like, I watched it again recently, and there's a lot of good in there. There's a lot of good in there when you start breaking stuff down.
Yeah.
But yes, anyway, well then, you wonderful souls, that is the end of another episode. If you like what you heard and you want to get involved, you can find us by searching for The Serite on Instagram and T Serite on Twitter. Now, Ichigo and Rukia might reap souls, but we are hoping to reap some 5-star reviews, and that is where you come in. Make like our favourite orange-haired protector and Ichigo to iTunes and Spotify to rate us, review us, and make us feel like number one. To those of you listening on YouTube, don't forget to be like Chad and give us that good thumbs up. We really appreciate it. On the next episode of the podcast, we'll be covering anime episode 309, Fierce Fighting Conclusion, Release of Final Getsuga Tensho, and 310, Ichigo's Resolution, The Price of the Fierce Battle. And also, just want to note, this will also be our 69th episode when we're recording this one. Yes. So we might be playing on that just a little bit.
Because we're us, and if you've been with us as a while, you know that sometimes we can toe the line between PG and below.
Yeah, I'm just going to put the warning out right now. The next episode is going to be over PG, right? Just a warning. Anyway, we will see you souls then. Till next time, bye!
Bye!
Sorry, I think my neighbour's kid's running about upstairs. I'm wondering if I should just text him and be like, hey, can you like not run about upstairs? or just edit it out.
I can't hear it on my end. So.
Okay, maybe that's good then. Maybe my mic won't pick it up.